Hello there, friends. Today we're going to talk about fathers and fathers' love. What the hell does it mean to be a dad? Now, I'm not going to pretend that I have the answer to this, but what I'm going to do here is direct your attention to someone that might. And that someone, you might not like it, is God. And it might be that this conversation that you're about to listen to, it might speak to you. And if it does, then it might help repair some relationships in your life, particularly the ones that you have with yourself, first and foremost. Let's dive in. Here's the problem that we have. When we're children, we look at dad as a superhero. We look at him like he is a god. And as we grow up and as we get older, we see that not only is he not a superhero, he's kind of average on most metrics that count to us. Whoever the guy is, even if he's Warren Buffett, by the time his child has reached an age where they can see the shadows in his personality that still remain, see the decisions that he really should have done differently when he was 20 years younger, you know? Whoever you are, whatever your father did, you're gonna feel it at some point in your life that you have to accept that not only is he not a superhero now, but he wasn't a superhero when you were a kid thinking that he was. He was worse than he is now because he was even less mature back then. We all know this, like the idea of therapy and the idea of going into your past, yes, is about healing the relationship, healing the inner child within yourself that got hurt by what mommy and daddy did. But there's this crucial step that doesn't seem to be covered in a lot of it, which is that you need to forgive them and let go of them as being the authority in your life. This has been taught for thousands of years in the religion that so many of our people have cast off as barbaric and pointless and inferior to wokeness. Like, they said it long ago. Like, the whole point of monotheism was that you have a parent figure who is the creator God above all the other humans and all of the ideas that humans might have about their various gods. The Hebrews came and they said, no, there's a highest authority that is the ultimate father and mother in heaven, ready for us to give us the love, support, guidance, comfort, everything that our parents should be giving us. God is right there ready to give it to us in far more abundance and far purer form than two rather flawed human inhabitants of God's will, right? Because each member of the team is like got their own issues and they're fucked up in their own way. What that monotheism does is it says, let's stop expecting others to be the rock of support that's gonna make me feel better about my life. Like, I can have that from my Father in heaven. I don't need to demand that my Father on earth finds ways to contort himself into the shape that I want him to look like in order for me to feel like I'm being respected or loved. Like, that's something that we should all be letting go of as soon as we find it. And right there in the Hebrew text, I am that you say I am. Do you need a father? Do you need a mother? Do you need an uncle? Do you need a best friend? Do you need a lover? Do you need a romantic partner? Do you need someone who's known you for 50 years and sees your future? I am who you say I am. Call upon me and say, Father in heaven, Mother in heaven, Uncle in heaven, King in heaven, Lord. Whatever you need, he can be. And when you really understand that, you don't need people anymore. Sometimes you need what they can give you, but they're not the only ones that can give you it. And if they're not willing to give you it for free, then you need to do a deal. Give them something they need. Or find someone who wants something that you have and offer it to them and take what they give you and offer it to them. Like, this is the origin of money, and it's not really possible if we're expecting others to fulfill our emotional needs, whether it's our parents or otherwise. I see a lot of people in battles with trying to unravel the toxic relationships that they've had in their lives, whether it's with parents or friends or family or whoever. There's a lot of people who've been very taken advantage of and abused by people who are less morally grounded than them, but just as equally self-centered. I don't want to see that continuing to happen in the lives of the people that I care about, which is why I'm sharing this message. Because I know that the majority of my followers, people who have ever met me because of where I live, aren't religious in any time. And I'm kind of confused about what's going on the political stage internationally. I think a lot of them are waiting to see who wins, and then they'll jump on the winning side. You know, okay, fair enough, it's a survival technique. But it's pretty powerful to be willing to stand on what you really think in a public square that is so controversial and contentious. And the reason that people like me can do that is because we don't need you. We don't need your approval. We don't need your kindness. We don't need your sympathy. We don't need anything from you. We're here to give something to you. And if you don't want it, that's fine. I'll give it to someone else. That's a pretty powerful place to exist as a human being, even if you have no intention of having any kind of public presence. Even if all you're doing is just having conversations with your spouse or your children, being able to have those conversations from a place of like, I don't need you. I might need the thing that you're supposed to be giving me that was part of our arrangement that you're now refusing to give to me on condition that I jump through some hoops for you. Well, that wasn't in the original deal, so I reserve the right to challenge that, right? But I don't need you to love me in this moment for me to calm down. I don't need you to do anything about who you are. I'm addressing the behavior that has gone beyond the scope of our deal. That's why marriage is a business, in the sense that the more you can maintain a professional relationship when it comes to matters of the marriage, the more productive it will be. The marriage isn't really the place for the romance. The romance is in the best friend, the flirty father and mother together, bonding over the magical nature of their offspring and wanting to make more. That's where that belongs. The actual institution of marriage is supposed to be far more business-like in how we talk to each other and how we deal with issues. So, which means no personal attacks. Don't go after my childhood. Don't go after the insecurities that I shared with you. Don't betray my trust and use my personal information against me. You don't want to be doing that in business partnerships, unless it's consensual, right? If someone asks for advice, then okay, you can give it, but you don't get to throw personal attacks at them when they start questioning whether or not you're doing your job properly, So marriage is a brilliant training ground for developing that professional business partnership, because then you can be promoted to higher levels, because now you understand what it takes to really do major inspirational work together when you come at it from such different personal places. That's a really high value skill set. In terms of maintaining that professionalism, you have to not need them personally. And isn't that a jarring thing to consider if we're thinking about man and wife, husband and wife? We've been told that it's all about feelings and romance and buying gifts and all of these things, which, that's the case, sure. But that's not the fundamental deep down reason why people do it. Those are just some of the bonuses, the perks for when you get it right. Whatever the relationship is in your life that isn't going the way that you want it to, find what it is about what you want from that person and look upwards and say, look, can you make me feel like that? The way that I know I'm gonna feel once they've done what I want them to do. Can you make me feel that? Just right here and now? Creator of the universe, if you can do anything, so I can change my friend's mind. I can say some words into a friend's ear that makes them feel better. It's not like redefining the law of gravity that I'm asking from you. I'm not asking for you to levitate my computer in front of me to prove that you if I just give you the benefit of the doubt that you're up there, can you just make me feel good in this moment? And then the song that you love comes on and reminds you that you're enough, you're okay, you're forgiven. And then you can look back at the problem and say, well, they still need to respect this boundary more. They broke a rule, and either we need to change the rules, or they need to change their behavior so that they don't break the rules anymore. But you can have that negotiation like you would with your boss at work, instead of someone who you're dependent on for feeling like you're good enough. So I look around, I see tons of relationships in which people are trying to take from each other what they should be receiving from God, but they aren't, because they were raised to believe that God is this old-fashioned thing that stupid people believe in order to help them understand the mysteries of science. That's what all of us were taught in our schools, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to be homeschooling all of my kids, because if that's how you're going to treat our trust, that you take care of our kids and teach them what they need to know, and that is what you have taught them, then you can get the fuck out of my schools. And if I can't get you out of the schools, then I'm taking my family elsewhere. In any case, that's an aside. I'm rapidly approaching the point where we need to firmly commit to that journey. We have already, but It's one thing when he's 4 months old, it's another when he's 3. Gonna have to face a lot of resistance, I expect. So okay, you might be thinking to yourself, like, all right, yeah, that would be great if there was a God up there that could do that, but like, I don't see any evidence for that, and I'm a scientific person, and there's loads of different religions, each with their own stories, so why should I take yours any more seriously than someone else's? You know, it's that old saying, they always seem so proud of themselves when they say it. You're an atheist too, just about one less God than I am. Which is funny, because it's untrue. Because I believe in their gods. I believe that their gods are real to them. And I believe that they would be real to me if I were to worship them. But I also believe that there is a higher creator God, that it's more prudent and expedient to worship that God because they're the top dog. And the lower gods can be corrupted by the human spirit. They can be corrupted by human selfishness. So the God for war to defend your land becomes the God for war to attack your weaker neighbors. And look, credit where it's due, Christianity has a great deal of horrible eras in history where they were co-opted by the interests of narcissistic psychopath types who decided to use the power over the people that religion gave, and particularly Christianity in that region at the time gave to the peasant and noble classes, take that power over those people and point them towards some money that you want to get for yourself. In the form of resources, in the form of gold in a neighboring kingdom. So Christians have been infected as well by such movements. And much to the annoyance of most Christians that are out there, I do not believe that the way for our world to come together is for Christianity to win. I think that the way that we come together is that we integrate all of the religious traditions together into one conglomeration, let's call it. It's like a nation. A nation is formed by gathering together of different communities that are separated in territory and space. So like, it's the same thing, it's just we're respecting each other's spiritual territory, but voting together on a federal level of spiritual institution that is making sure that every country on earth is doing things in the interests of the one true creator God of love and compassion and forgiveness. If we can agree to that, I don't care if the Muslims still want to tell the stories about Muhammad and the miracles that were done. I don't need to criticize or judge or be afraid that they're going to try to convert me, because I know they're not going to convert me. And they know I'm not going to convert them, so like, let's just vote on the stuff that we agree with. The other stuff, I'll leave you to do you and you leave me to do me. Which means that I will defend to my death my right to be a Christian and still do the same for a Muslim.